All right, welcome everyone. I'll wait for a few people to get in here. I'm gonna get set up. I didn't really didn't really have a countdown for this, but it's all good. It's all good. We're gonna get this ball rolling. Perfect. Okay. All right. We are live. I know that a lot of people have heard the recent news and also taken up Alvo on PSVR2. That's right. The launch date was yesterday, September 14th, global. Um, so yeah, Alvo released on PSVR2. There's a lot of excitement around it, and I know that there are probably a lot of questions. What I'm gonna do for all of you is I'm gonna get the AMA that maybe you didn't know about, especially if you're over on Reddit. I want to use this opportunity not only to play the game tonight, hopefully with a few people, but also maybe answer some questions that maybe some of you had. Um, may want to ask here. Um, I will be regularly watching chat as I play, but if you guys are interested and you want to go over to the Reddit page where you can actually literally ask anything, there's the link right there. Don't worry, that is not a bad link. That is a good link. You guys should be okay to check it out. Okay. Um, what I am going to do is I'm actually going to go over a couple of these things for good reason, especially because if you don't have Reddit, there's a chance that you might not even know it exists over there, the AMA that is. So I want to go over it a little bit with you. I'm going to put that down real quick. You can see a little bit of the gameplay in the background. This is not representation of the PSVR2. Just as an FYI, I want to do a little bit of a disclaimer there. That is some older footage of mine, just kind of playing in the background. Um, and that was from played primarily on the Quest, so you can see that the game looks pretty much. I don't want to say pretty much the same because there's been enhancements to the PSVR2 version. In fact, this is an older build. So here on Monastery, you can see that the sconces don't even have fire coming out of them yet. And this was during the Halloween event last year, which was really exciting. That's where you could get the pumpkin head skin. If you see anyone running with the pumpkin head skin, you know that they have been playing the game at least since that long. I don't know if there are going to be any events this year, but regardless, this is older footage, so don't take this as representation. Um, I am going now. This is kind of like an unofficial kind of review of an unofficial, like, not really AMA. I don't want to call it that, but it's like an unofficial, like, launch day. All right. Spoke with Steve, sought out permission to kind of run a stream tonight here on the channel, just so you guys, have an opportunity to hear from someone who's very involved, very invested, and can probably answer some questions. But without further ado, I do want to go over to the AMA stuff, and I do want to go over it. Now, I'm really small in this corner because when I play, I'm going to be standing up and playing, and so you can see, like, yes, I'm legitimately playing, and not only that, you can see that I'm going to frequently check in on the chat. Okay, but let's do this real quick. Did crop it down so that it would be nicer to view um, some of the other stuff, but guess I'm gonna have to do this for now. Okay, so I encourage you to go over and read this yourself. All right, uh, but if you don't, here's a little glimpse into what's being talked about. So there's a little intro from the team. It's built for VR2, community driven. This is always 100% true for all those who are looking for a title that is literally driven by the community, like everything, not only from the content that goes into the game, but also the involvement in the discords and in other social media applications. The community is what it's the bread and butter. It's kind of what keeps things going. The mods have been part of the community for a while. A lot of the attendants of those social media applications have been members of the community for a while, and for the most part, it's a very welcoming place. Plus, the community inside the game are very willing to help newcomers. I'll probably be running like my PlayStation account is I think is in the 40s as opposed to my other one over on the Quest. Um, I'll probably be running with some newer players. So I probably won't be going super hard tonight. I'll probably just be having some fun playing with maybe the pistols, showing a couple of the loadouts and what have you. Continuous updates, and this is like 3 to 4 months, right? Like the updates take place like around 3 to 4 months time, maybe a little bit sooner. It all depends on how quickly things can be put out. Now things have been delayed a little bit. I don't want to say like delayed, but like they've been pushed back a little bit to ensure that we can get the PSVR2 launch out, and then also the upcoming Steam. Which, by the way, we're going to go over the roadmap just a little bit for your reference in case you didn't see it anywhere else. You can now see it here. This is probably the only platform that we haven't put it on yet. So, continuous updates are going to be rolling out, and we'll check out the roadmap momentarily. Uh, so, a few of the questions. Let's see. There were a couple of good ones in here. Um, a lot of people were asking about crossplay and whether or not PSVR2 is going to be crossplay. And yes, it is gonna be crossplay with everything. The idea of putting out, this game on new platforms is to ensure that it's crossplay across all platforms. So, it's not gonna just be with PSVR2 players, it's gonna be with, the Quest 2 players, the Pico 3 and 4, PSVR1, and in the future, Steam as well. So, you're gonna have a total of 5, if Wolf can count, I think 5 different platforms playing simultaneously together in lobbies, which is super exciting. So crossplay will be there. Let's see. Someone has said, "Wait, so if a friend buys Alvo on the account and I'd use my old PS4 and PS4 1 on my play Alvo, he'd use my PS5 and PS2 on his account. We could play multiplayer." It's a good question. If it's a guest account, I don't see why not. But that's more of a PlayStation thing. There might. I've never tried that before, but there could be limitations. So I would approach that with caution because you could be playing them on different systems if they're under the account because as far as I know, like a guest account still like the only reason why they have access to the games on the system is because they're part of the mother system. So in other words, it's on the console itself, but you're just as a guest. I don't know if that will work, but hey, give it a shot, see if it does. Let's see. There was some other good questions. The reprojection. Okay, so like I'm not very tech savvy, and Steve himself has stated like he knows tech to a point, and so we have a wonderful developer who can um, really clearly state uh, what the difference is between 90 hertz native and the 60 hertz or 120 hertz with reprojection. Um, let's see. So the reprojected mode is there in case the game does not run well at 90 FPS. Hopefully, is optimized. You say it doesn't sound too confident. You are the developer or community manager. So that's from Steve. So uh, this guy was a bit confused on who Steve was. If you don't know who Steve is pretty much the sole financer of the title. He's pretty much the one who revitalized it. I want to make sure my mic is going. Perfect. My mic is going. Love it. I don't know why it was down so low. There. Hopefully that's fixed. There was a response here. Right now, the only reason you'd want 120 hertz reprojected is if you prefer 120 hertz over the 90 hertz at the expense of some artifacts. So when you change the resolution, you're gonna see some artifacting. So in other words, you're gonna be turning your head and you're gonna see a bit of ghosting, which when I had tested it out, that's exactly what I saw. So if try each of them out, see which one you prefer. Some people prefer the 90 hertz. Some people like the reprojected. It all depends, but you can switch it like in the moment. It does a quick pause of the game, like you don't get taken out of the game. You switch the option, it'll essentially your screen will go black for like 2 seconds, and it'll come back and it'll have the new settings. So don't fret if you're like you're in the middle of the game and you think, okay, I'm not going to be able to continue to play because it's going to kick me out. No, you'll be able to stay in the game. So give each one a shot. Similar to PS5 flat games that have a 60 FPS performance mode and a 4K quality mode that runs at 30 frames, there could be opportunities to experiment further with pushing the graphics even higher to 120 hertz projection mode, but still having the option to players for those. So like it's pretty much it's a bit of a trade off, but like the accessibility is there. So Alvo's always been about accessibility, making sure you have all the options from UI adjustments to weapon adjustments to having the animated reload system to the manual reload system, having vignettes. Of course, that's kind of standard in most VRs. But there are so many accessibility options, and this is just another one. So if you don't want to dabble in it because you're confused by it, like me, and you don't fully understand it, that's perfectly okay. Just stick with the 90 hertz. That's pretty standard. I believe the Oculus Quest 2 runs natively at 75 hertz, and sometimes can be there are applications that optimize at 90. So if you're accustomed to the Quest 2, then like you're all set. If you're accustomed to any VR headset, then you're all set with the 90 hertz. You don't have to worry about anything else. But if you are interested about this, there are some explanations here. I'm not going to go into further detail because it is overly complicated for my brain to understand. So it's been a fairly smooth launch. Game looks great. Is there any chance that the planned map creation feature will come to PlayStation? PS will benefit from the mod maps, but only to an extent. And this is where there's a limitation, in that a lot of them will be playable to make it into the game. So in other words, like if there's a mod map, a community member has created a map for the game, and it's good enough, then the team will go as far as perhaps purchasing it or doing something to acquire it so that it can be put into the game and everybody can enjoy it if it is a very popular map. But there are going to be certain parameters around that to which I'm not privy to. So I will leave Steve and the rest of the dev team to talk about that, because that there are going to be stipulations to getting a modded map into a game. So just as a heads up to that. There was a question about the grip, and there is an opportunity to, or a moment in which the team has talked about the gripping the gun, like where it's pretty much glued to your hand, and then you press the grip button nowadays, and it will drop, right? It will fall out of your hand. Oh, let me get this over here, because I guess I'm in Discord. Cool. We're gonna have a couple of people join us in Alvo. Right now, my controllers are charging too, so there's that. So my statement was a little bit more long-winded, okay? But the reality is that anything is possible, okay? What I was trying to get across in my statement, and pretty much what Steve got across in his statement, was simply this: there's always going to be an opportunity for new options coming into play. There is a limitation though with how the game operates right now. Switching weapons and letting go of there's no place to holster your weapon. So if you had to hold the grip button for any period of time, so if I'm looking at my PSVR2 controller, right, and you're holding the grip button the entirety of the game, and at any moment you accidentally let go because your fingers are fatigued, you're going to drop your weapon, and there is no ability to holster it at the moment. So it could be present, but at the same time, there's some caution with that, because even though if it is made an option and people select it, but there's no way to holster it, well, then there's no what value does not having to click the grip do for a player at this point? Not to say it won't come, just saying like there are some limitations, and per the gameplay, it doesn't really make sense at the moment because there is no solution to holster. And that's pretty much my only argument for that, is that you can have the option, but you're going to get fatigued really quick with how fast the game is and how long you're going to actually have to hold your weapon. But again, it's brought up and it's absolutely talked about, and it's absolutely something that would be considered. There are just other facets and mechanics to the game that need to be considered before that even gets included. Let's see. Okay, someone's saying that they're really enjoying the game. Glad to hear it. Any chance of adding the option to change loadouts during the countdown timer when the level first loads? Um, Love the VR grid. I do watch grid myself. Um, Love to be able to do that. And so Steve says, "Man, I'd love to be able to do that and equip items just you just earned anything to keep players from leaving an active match. Wanted this for a while. Our mind is on this, but not currently working on it." So yeah, there have been some additions with a lot of the updates to include even changing loadouts between matches, which or even when you die, like that stuff was it was kind of in place, but it was a little difficult. You had to remember what your loadout was. There weren't images in place. Now there are images. In private matches, there wasn't an option. It wasn't a very clear option of selecting your weapon and changing things. So like there have been a lot of updates to the game to make it so that we can change the loadouts and the locations that we do. And this is one that Steve has always talked about being able to switch on the fly and change things on the fly. And it's always been talked about it, but again, it's prioritization. So hopefully in the near future, I say near future, that's just a wish list thing for me. Um, we can possibly have that. Any chance of getting an offline mode? So this is a big question usually around multiplayers. Is there going to be an offline mode? Where you can play just against bots. There is an opportunity to play just bots. You could do in training, for example, but you don't level up and you don't get all the weapons. So there's the downfall there. But it is a multiplayer game, right? It's an online VR multiplayer game. So the idea was VR multiplayer game first, and then anything else second. But Steve does confirm here that at some point in the future, yes, but it actually requires a lot of work because you got to think about the AI and the algorithms that go into that and the code to make sure that they run well, right? They have to be smart. Now, at present, the bots in the game, they run certain pathways, and if you have it on hard difficulty, then you're going to get two tapped, maybe even one tapped by these bots. So they're a perfect shot, but they're super dumb when it comes to their mobility. So if there is going to be an offline mode, a lot of work has to go into that. Right now, it's just a matter of making sure the Steam gets out, more content comes out, and other things will be worked on in the background as well. Um, right there, they're getting a little nostalgic here with Perfect Dark. I did love Perfect Dark myself growing up. Let's see. Another question. Okay, IPAs. IPAs are good. IPAs are good, Steve, but I don't know. Sometimes you gotta have something a little bit more citrusy. You know what I'm saying? Um, Easily worth the $20. Okay, so this is the first time a first time player, Mountain Drew. He said he finally checked it out. Easily worth the $20. Any possibility of making the scoreboard after a death centered out in front or a slider for the distance of it? It's way too close. I think just moving away from the player's face a bit is the best move. We'll get on that. So yeah, I mean that's a good point. This may be a quality of life thing, but it's a necessary quality of life. When the scoreboard's way too damn close to your face, that can get annoying. So I get that. Really good point, Mountain Drew. Glad you're enjoying it, dude. Can you share some more about the roadmap? We'll get into that. And then there's this whole debacle about Unity. Okay, like I'm not going to get into it because I'm not an official developer. I just QA test the thing, and I also work on some of the merchandise for the team, among other things. And so like I'm not a developer, but what Unity is doing, well, everybody's going to have their opinion. I don't know how it's going to affect outside and entertainment, but I will leave that to the devs to discuss, which they kind of do, I think, a little bit, yeah. But if you want to check that out, please go over to this Reddit forum and check it out. How's the player base? Player base is good. In fact, it was on the rise, and it's looking very healthy. Exact numbers. Steve had mentioned that he doesn't really want to go into that. Not out of like embarrassment or anything. It's just like sharing those numbers. Could be a misrepresentation. People can take those numbers and like use it. So like, but there's significant growth. I saw the chart. Holy crap! A lot of people got into it, and hopefully a lot of people stay because there's been a lot of positive reception. So, scoreboard. Yep. Someone else had mentioned that. A lot of people sound very excited. Will the game run better at 120 hertz? Okay, so that was just another one, another mention about the 120 hertz. Streamed the game yesterday after the race and had hours of fun. Hours of fun. That's fantastic. The game is great and the matchmaking is quick. Only a few issues going in. Scoreboard that pops up when you die pops up too close to your face. Okay, so a lot of people are saying that that's a quality of life issue, which is crazy because when I was playing the beta, and in fact, when I played it the other night, I didn't feel like I had that issue, but I don't know. Teach their own, got to make sure it works for everybody. The game sometimes wouldn't allow me and my friends to join parties, stating that we already were in a party, which wasn't true. So if this ever happens, make sure if you were in a party before, sometimes the game will still recognize that you're in a party. So you have to go up to your icon, which I'll show you guys, and hit leave party, and then you should be able to join the party again. All right. A lot of positive commentary here. There are a lot more comments than what I saw from earlier. Um, touch sensing. Okay, there's a lot of haptic stuff coming in. So are you guys going to include touch sensing? That's a good question. The PSVR2 comes with its own unique mechanics and new features, which haven't really been totally explored by outside in entertainment. The haptic triggers are in there. The haptic feedback is there. There's some technology being used there, but the sense touching is it's not fully optimized. It exists, but it's not like fully optimized yet. The team is going to delve deep into creating a more immersive experience, so I wouldn't put it past them to kind of work on that. Steve says you should find some touch sensing. For example, when you take your left hand off the gun, when you put it on, you press grip to grab, and then you can release grip, and as long as your middle fingers are still on, you will not let go. This is if you have the option hold grip. So that's what I have is the hold grip. So I that's probably why I experienced it. But if you just click to grip, yeah, it's a little different. Let's see. I saw in the menu, is there crossplay? Can I play with my friends? I have Quest 2. Yes, all across all platforms. The next update would be possible to make the pistol on your side. So this is kind of what alluding to what I was talking about before. There is currently no holster system. It's just a matter of reaching over your back, grabbing that. There is an effort to put more onto the player vest to interact with. Right now, it's just the grenade and the clip. So perhaps there will be a holster system at some point. I'm not going to say with confidence that is going to be the case. Given the fact that it is so quick, you don't want to fumble around and like try to figure out where to put the guns. Typical VR shooters will have you place the gun on your chest and then your pistol on your holster. And sometimes you'll have a third weapon over your shoulder. However, with how fast this game goes, it's going to get way too confusing. It's much easier just to do this. But again, like I said, nothing is impossible. Nothing is improbable. Manual reloading was assumed to not be super fun or exciting by some. And those who said that have found it to be quite enjoyable. So now let's see. All right, some more Unity stuff. Would foveated rendering improve performance or graphics? So Dark told me is probably one of the smartest people I have come across in terms of like pretty much any kind of like VR algorithmic equation stuff. So he said, and he understands like VR very, very well. So this guy's brilliant. Foveated rendering improves performance and makes room for increased quality and overall fidelity. However, our current development pipeline does not support it, and it's not feasible to change due to our support of other platforms, which kind of makes sense if it's going to stay, cross-platform. You want to try to keep it as consistent as possible. And foveated rendering, like it can improve a game, but at the same time, it's not 100% necessary. So obviously, it's going to be up to the team whether or not they want to do it. But the games that I've played that have foveated rendering versus not, I don't really see the difference. It's more about the experience. But that's my opinion. If your opinion is different, please let us know. Mod support, that's more on the Steam side. More Unity stuff. He's going to check out the game for sure. That's great to hear. Fan effing tastic, says Jack Rabbit of the End. He's a disabled Army vet. Well, thank you for your service. Appreciate you. And I promise I'll give you my opinion after the 27th when my disability pay comes in. You'll be getting the opinion from my little brother, who is also who is a Marine. not part of the army, and engineer as well. So be ready to get picked apart and put back together. Look forward to it. Man, that's good to hear. Thank you so much for your service. Appreciate you. Launch matchmaking. This looks right up my alley, but yeah, no issues with matchmaking at all. We've never had issues. Well, I don't want to say we've never had issues. We've had issues in beta before, but we haven't really had issues in retail. The only time we ever had issues related to any kind of matchmaking was with private matches, but that was very quickly fixed. I think within the week. Let's see. Any plans for fun weapons, different melee weapons? Always. Steve is looking for a flamethrower and jetpacks and all this other stuff. So, yeah, without a doubt, like that stuff is bound to come. Is there any plan for customization of the controls? This has been brought up time and time again about custom button mapping for the controls. I can't really speak to it. I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. I don't know how labor intensive that would be, but I know it's been brought up, so it's on the team's radar. He played this and played for the first time yesterday. So glad y'all have put kill streaks in this game. Made it feel a little COD-like. Had a great time. However, it was very sad to see that there were only about 10 to 15 guns. Yeah, understandable. More weapons are coming, and we're going to talk about that on the roadmap. And I'm going to move right along very, very soon. A lot of commendations, a lot of praise. Appreciate you. What's most important is that everybody's having fun. If you're not having fun, please report those issues. So there are a lot more stuff here. I'm not going to go over all of this. Okay, I got to a lot of the important ones, the ones that I felt were important, but there's a lot more. So there's a link in the chat, and I'm also going to put it in the description afterwards. After this, I'm done with the stream, so you guys can go over and ask your own questions. You can see there's still plenty more to read. Now, what everybody's pretty much looking forward to. I want to make sure that is on the screen appropriately. Hold on. Okay, that looks like it's on the screen appropriately. Perfect. So this is the roadmap. All right, this is the roadmap. You can see this in the Reddit post. You can see this in other places like the Discord. I don't think it's on Facebook yet, and it's not yet up on the official alvogame.com page. But this is the official roadmap. So 1 to 2 months out, we're looking to have increased resolution versions of the current maps. So this isn't just like like a resolution bump, okay? Like what we're currently seeing. It's not just a resolution bump like that. This is retexturing the maps with better lighting as well. So more reflective surfaces, more depth based surfaces. So visually it looks more alive. And I've run through a couple of them and they look brilliant. I love them. There's going to be a new map. There's already, like I've been saying this time and time again, especially here during like the league streams. There are 2 maps that I know that are pretty much near completed. So 1 to 2 months out after yesterday, we're looking to have a new map. So these can come out at any time. There's like no specific time frame outside the 1 to 2 months. So keep that in mind. We're bound to get a new map sometime between yesterday and 2 months out. Spectator mode. This is important for anyone who does like competitive casting, such as my group, or like VRML, VREL.